In a couple of weeks' time, voters around Britain will be heading to the polls. In Scotland and Wales, there are parliamentary elections, whilst in England, voters will be choosing who will sit on their local councils. 5 Live's Anna Foster is on the road this week. Yesterday we spoke to her in Stockton. Today it's Darlington. Come in, Darlington.
Morning, Victoria. Hello, nice to speak to you. In fact, you were talking to Tony Blair not too long ago. And of course, his seat here in the northeast of England, his Sedgefield constituency, turning from Labour to Conservative, was perhaps one of the most seismic moments of that election night. And Darlington is another constituency that went from Labour to Conservative. And what is really interesting here is the investment that the government's been trying to put into the seat ever since to shore up that newfound support. And I'm here in Darlington Market. You can see activity going on in the background. They've been open throughout the pandemic, but they've seen a real loss of footfall, they've seen a real loss of money, and they're trying to regenerate this area and the whole high street. And Graham Soult is with me. He's a retail consultant. Hello, Graham.
Hi there.
Now, you're the perfect person to speak to about why governments put money into high streets and places like this when they want votes or they want to keep votes, because it's the sort of place that people see an immediate difference quickly, isn't it?
Yeah, high streets like Darlington have always been evolving, but I think if you look at the last 10 years, the pace of change on the high street has really ramped up, and it's something that everyone notices. It makes headlines in the local press. It's talked about on Facebook groups, and so people do care about their high streets, and they care when they see empty shops.
It's not easy though, is it? Because if we look at Darlington High Street, like high streets up and down the country, they've lost a lot of their big shops, their big names just in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's a town that has lost BHS and M&S, and it's like many places that have lost those big names, and there's no one out there to fill those big gaps. But I think where a town like Darlington has real strength isn't its independent offer. We're here in the fantastic market hall. It's got incredible heritage businesses that have been here for many years, but equally there are lots of new independents, new micro pubs, bars, shops. It's a really great place to go out in an evening, and so Darlington is doing all the right things in trying to become more distinctive, more interesting, and less clone town.
And you're involved in the government task force. What kind of money is coming to the high street here?
Yeah, I'm involved in the High Streets Task Force. So the High Streets Task Force is about investing in the local capacity, really, in the local people and the stakeholders, and bringing together the local authority and all the other key players who make a town work, because all the towns that are doing well are the ones where all the important people there are working together and pushing forward. But also Darlington has done quite well from the Towns Fund. That's the Towns Fund, that is a government fund that is investing. It's more about connectivity and infrastructure, and Darlington has received over £22 million from that too, to really link all the different bits of the town together and invest in some of the historic courtyards that are here. Incredible kind of old courtyards that are really full of independent businesses and a real point of difference for the town.
Thank you, Graham. Graham Soult, who's a retail consultant here in Darlington. It's also worth bearing in mind as well that the government, as we were saying, is putting money into a lot of these northern constituencies, this former Red Wall area that they acquired back in December of 2019. And it's worth noting that this constituency here of Darlington shares a border with Richmond, which is the Chancellor Rishi Sunak's constituency, which I'm sure can't do them any harm at all.
Cheers, Anna. Thank you. You can find out what elections are taking place in your area, and you can see all the candidates who want your vote. Just go to the BBC News website, bbc.co.uk/news.